What's up, guys, and welcome back to another scenario where civilization starts over. And in this episode, we will be seeing a group of religious people coming from Africa in this area, more towards the south and the Horn of Africa, just migrating over down into the Morocco area. Now, this event will be called the Great Migration. And it's going to be sort of like a militaristic and prideful migration, mixing of cultures too. So they're going to be migrating down here, and they're going to actually combat the low levels of radiation in this area. And they're going to just settle along here. They're going to be a fairly big country, but they're going to be fighting a lot against mutants constantly. So a lot of people are going to go down here though. But it's going to be extremely difficult for this country, as they are beginning in a very difficult spot. But if they play this right, they could have a very good and prosperous future, especially in the days of the mutant-human war. The, I guess, civil war between the two races on this sort of scenario. I don't know what I'm going to call this major event, but we already seen the collapse of the Persian Union. So this is pretty interesting phase, and I think y'all will really like this country. But let's keep on going. So after this, we see this Cyan nation exploring lots of the Iberian Peninsula, and they're going to go ahead and explore all of Iberia, and with a lot of other mutant nations, they're going to explore a lot of the Alps, which are probably destroyed, and they're just going to push on right through. And they're going to explore up into what would be the UK, exploring all of Ireland and all that. But they're really no struggles with exploration for them. They're just stupid. Doesn't mean they can't move on foot fast. Now, this will be major and change this this future event. So let's go ahead and see that. Now, I haven't really been focusing on these guys, so just know this isn't happening in just like a day. But we do see these guys just going like, hey, we're going to expand, and we're going to expand together. So the pink team's going to be like, let's expand over here. We're going to supply you aid. You're going to fight this new nation being aided by almost all of Africa in the coalition against the mutants. So with this happening, the Cyan team is going to start a massive invasion into the newly formed dark red country, Morocco. Now, Morocco is going to be facing several issues. They already lost 2 major cities, but here we see extreme nationalism rise up in this nation, and they're going to start pushing back the mutants a lot, freeing up a major city like so. And this is just going to be it for the update on the war in this area. But other than that, let's see some expansion from all these African nations. Here we see a really weird event happening for the first time in history. The Angolans, they're going to colonize a little bit of West Africa, forming a legitimate colony. And they're going to use it for aiding in trade for this country. And they're also going to purchase a little bit of land from this green team right up in here, so they can also trade easier. So once they purchase that, they're going to start sending lots of people down there. And other nations are going to be like, alright, let's do the same. This nation's going to get really mad at that everybody's taking land near them, and they're just going to make lots of money actually off of this. So their people, they're happy, but they're also really upset. They're basically getting bought out of their land. So this nation, the South African country, buys land. Mozambique, they don't buy land, but they're, colonizing it. Mozambique, since they're getting into like colonialism too, they're going to get a colony down here. This Tanzanian team, they're going to get down here. Every country is just getting down here. So the West African nations, they're going to be pissed. They're going to be like, nah, this is not happening. Get out of Africa. Get out of our area of Africa. Not get out of Africa. My bad. These guys aren't Europeans. With this happening, everybody's going to be like, hey, we gotta get land fast before these filthy African colonizers get any more land. And then the African colonizers are like, what are we doing? These are our own people. But they're gonna be like, do we really care though? This country does not support colonization. They're really close with these guys. Just know that. But these guys are gonna be like, alright. So, what are we going to do? We hate this country hates us. Well, why don't we just form a massive coalition against it? Take its land, use it for ports, and sending people down there, using its population to militarize. So they're going to be like, alright, let's do this. Let's invade them. And that they do. So this country is going to get invaded by Angola right up there. But they're also going to get... Angola's also going to get pushed back out of their claim. Hold up, let me get a better color real quick. So they're going to get pushed out of their claim like so. These guys down here, they're going to get pushed out too. So, yeah. That's not too much of a different color. Kind of weird little area for me to color in. But Angola's going to get major support from all these other nations that are colonizing. So they're just going to make landings everywhere. And I'm not going to use a different color for this, but the South Africans are going to make landings over here. And they're going to be like, alright, we're split in half. We don't want our people getting harmed, so let's surrender and just have them colonize us. We don't want to lose lives. So that the colonizers do. So let's go ahead and see this division. For the very first time, we have our conference about colonization from African nations. Here we see this massive division of Africa. Now this is really going to change how other African nations see these African nations that are colonizing. So this nation's going to get mad. The nations that aren't colonial around Angola are going to get mad. But after this, we see South Africa struggling to gain control over their colonies. So they're going to sell them to Angola. And Angola just peacefully gets larger. And they're going to but colonize all this land up here. So let's go ahead and see it. So here we see Angola taking just a massive portion of Africa. Now this is really going to help them in the future, but these other African nations are going to be like, we're not colonizing. Why aren't we colonizing? So they're going to be like, what could we do? We can't get down here. They're gonna be like, well, if we're getting to this by boat, and Angola's controlling most of the trade down to those African nations down here. How about we just get down here? So a bunch of nations are going to try to colonize this way to see if they can hit another landmass. And they do. They think this is a different part of Africa. They think Africa's huge. But once they get over here, they talk to the Brazilians, learn this is a whole different continent. And the first colony to get set up will be by, let's see. Due to the massive new exploration into this ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, Mozambique's actually going to be the first African nation to they're going to set up a port colony to trade with the Brazilians. Now, trading with the Brazilians is going to be very important for this series. And after this, we see a major event happening. South Africa collapses. This is the collapse of South Africa, bringing an end to the era of South Africa. Now that will be it for today's episode. With tears in my eyes, saying goodbye to the great nation of South Africa. Goodbye, everyone, and have a good day.